Here at 50 Faces Productions, we are 4 years old and over 400 podcasts strong. We are committed to bringing you topics and issues that we feel should be discussed in the workplace and that enable you all to become your best selves from a professional standpoint. Neurodiversity and how neurodivergent individuals can thrive in the workforce is a topic that we want to speak more about in 2025. As a teaser as to what is possible, please listen to this podcast from the founder of QRKIEZ, which provides a platform and portal for neurodivergent individuals to find gainful employment and to connect with others. It is innovations like this that we believe are essential to leveling the playing field for neurodivergent individuals and for all of us. We have put a link in the show notes to a Google form that we would love you to fill out to give feedback as to what you would like to see more of in 2025. There's also a link to our Patreon page, which will enable you to support our content in 2025 and beyond. Thank you for listening to the 50 Faces podcast.
I think it starts with raising awareness and training and from the leadership. So companies need to understand the value of a diverse workforce. I read a recent article, World Economic Forum, not including differently abled people in an economic is costing 7% in GDP. And if we make neuro-inclusive business strategies, the economy can grow by like 28%.
I'm Aoife Devitt, and welcome to the 50 Faces podcast, a podcast committed to revealing the richness and diversity of people in medicine, science, and other professions by focusing on people and their stories. I'm joined today by Veena Aiyer, who has launched a community app for neurodivergent audiences called QRKIEZ. That's spelled QRKIEZ, or Z for our European followers, QRKIEZ. The goal of QRKIEZ is to be an innovative platform designed to support neurodiverse individuals by fostering social connections, providing mentorship, and offering tailored professional services. She previously worked in a series of startups and tech companies. Welcome, Veena. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, I look forward to hearing all about the app and how you ended up finding this was a problem that you wanted to solve. But just before we do that, can we quickly touch on your background, where you grew up, and how you entered technology as a field?
Sure. So I grew up in a small town in India. And from a very young age, like when I was in third grade, my dad sat me down and told me, Veena, IT is going to rule the world. There is an IT boom. And you should really try to get into that field. You should do engineering. And he was a very forward-thinking man. I was his only child, a girl child, but I don't think so I've ever felt that I was treated differently. He wanted me to have everything, have a career, and he wanted me to go and see the world. And he told me you would get opportunities to go and see the world, and you could be a very independent woman. And from a very young age, I knew that I have to be an independent person, financially independent, take care of my own self, and have a fulfilling career. Like that was given because that's how I was raised. So I think that had a big impact on my life. Like I never thought I have an option or never even considered an option where I won't have a career. So it was really important for me from a very young age that, when I grow up, I'm going to get educated, I'm going to have a job, and I'm going to do all these things. So it was just always a part of the plan. That's how my dad raised me.
Wonderful. And then obviously he spotted that potential early on. And how did that influence then what you decided to study and some of your early career moves?
Yeah, so I decided to do computer science engineering. And after graduating, I got a job in a multinational company. I was working in India. Then I got an opportunity to go to UK and work for one of the clients. And all this experience, I got to work with what we call business folks, like people who make decisions, like who are our customers, what is the target market, why are we building something, what problem are we trying to solve? And I got really interested in that aspect of building a business. So engineering is the solution part, right? Like eventually you're building something where someone is going to use, which is really fulfilling. But even before that, a step before that, why are you building something? Who is going to use it? And the other aspects of business, I got interested in it. And I felt that's the kind of job I want to do. And then I decided to pursue an MBA and come to US. So again, I feel that in my career, I've used both my undergrad degree and also my master's degree because both work very together. One is me having the understanding of technology, given that I had a computer science background, and on top of it, having a business background now that helps me put everything together, like the whole package. So I think definitely my family, who have always encouraged me to have a passion, and then the exposure that I got through working and meeting amazing people and mentors has definitely shaped my interest in technology and my interest in business.
Fast forward now to developing the vision for QRKIEZ. What was the problem that you perceived needed to be solved, and how did this area interest you in the first place?
That's a great question. So, family members who are neurodivergent, my kid, and then as I also realized that probably I'm also neurodivergent, given that there is so much overlap, and you start to understand yourself. And that's when I got to meet so many parents and so many amazing individuals who are neurodivergent and listening to their stories. And more, I realized that there is no one place where people could come and share their stories, get mentorship, access to resources, and just feel like they're part of something. Community is really important. I come from e-commerce background. I've worked in e-commerce company and I understand the power of community where people who have similar interests, similar desire, if they come together, it could be really powerful because then you can help each other, you can lift each other, and you don't feel lonely. And specifically for this community who usually they're not included in different places, both social settings and professional settings, not being able to find people who think like them, or not being able to find people who understand them. I think that is a big gap. And I felt we can definitely come up with a solution to mitigate that. Bring them together in a place where they can be very safe. They can safely talk about their things, their experience, no judgment. On top of it, they might get help and mentorship from other people who have gone through that experience. So that was the idea, like because I couldn't find anything around that was checking all these boxes. And anyone would need a community where they can feel they are themselves. And I felt neurodivergent community, which is often overlooked in all these spaces, I felt I really need to create a safe space for them. And that's how I thought about starting QRKIEZ.
And let's go through the different aspects. So the app is designed to foster social connections. So how is that done? I don't know how it would work, chat rooms or blogs or discussion pages, or is it more like a social media app? How you join a group and it would post things of interest?
That's a great question. So it's like a social media app. So when you sign up for QRKIEZ, there are two groups of user. One is QRKI Pro and one is QRKI Explorer. So if you are a professional service provider, for example, executive function coach, job coach, you provide some enrichment services to neurodivergent community, then you can sign up as QRKI Pro, where you would get an opportunity to add your services link and description and also set up a Calendly invite for consultation, free consultation, and you can join the app. If you are a QRKI Explorer, then all you need to do is edit your profile, add things that you're looking for, and join the app. And then you can start posting and engaging with the community like any social media app. You can start a discussion thread, you can follow people, you can DM people, and QRKI Explorers can go and take a look at all the QRKI Pros and sign up for a free discovery call where they understand what the QRKI Pro is offering. And if they want to work with them, they can definitely go off platform and continue to work. But this place, they will get free discovery. They can find all these pros, and without any commitment, they can have those free discovery calls to figure out whether or not the service is something they need. So it actually tackles two parts. First, just they get to connect with other folks. They can just start any conversation, anything that they want to speak about. And the second thing is they're discovering all these pros. And the third thing that we would be eventually building is job posting, where we would like to curate jobs from forward-thinking companies who understand the value of a diverse workforce and start posting that, and eventually build the app in different phases to provide more support for professional development for users.
And you mentioned ideal career fields for neurodivergent individuals. What are some of those?
That's a great question. So based on a lot of surveys and research that has been done across the world, feels like technology, IT, and engineering, which has a lot of structured thinking, pattern recognition, and really detail-oriented field. These are sometimes really good for people on spectrum because they naturally have that ability to be very detail-oriented and good with pattern recognition. Other fields like creative fields like marketing, design, that's also a great field for many folks who have ADHD because they are always looking for novelty and have this creative outlet. So these are some fields that people are really interested in. And also, if I look at healthcare or emergency services, recently I've seen like there are a lot of folks on spectrum who are, or neurodivergent folks who are interested in these fields because they really want to help others. There's a lot of empathy, and you need to be quick on your thinking and think of innovative ways to help people. And I think many neurodivergent folks are really good at it. And finally, education. I have personally known a lot of folks in special education who themselves are neurodivergent. And they've told me like the reason they were interested in this field is they wanted to teach other people, other neurodivergent kids, similar to the way they wanted to be taught. So, and they get that fulfillment out of it. So there are a lot of fields, as I said. Neurodivergent folks, it's a spectrum, and people have different skills. It could be very data oriented, the analytical ability, or it could be the creative ability. And with the help of technology today, I feel if you provide the right setting and right support, neurodivergent folks could be successful in a variety of different career options.
And you talk about inclusivity and employers, obviously having these fields which are suitable for neurodivergent individuals. But how about making existing workplaces more inclusive? Any tips that you can give or any way that you can provide support to either people in the workplace to ensure that they stay there and they have support when they're there, or to make the place more inclusive to start with?
Yeah, I think it starts with raising awareness and training and from the leadership. So companies need to understand the value of a diverse workforce. I read a recent article, World Economic Forum, not including differently abled people in economic is costing 7% in GDP. And if we make neuro-inclusive business strategies, the economy can grow by like 28%. And that is true. So first is having all these trainings to remove the stigma about autism and ADHD and all the negative stereotypes. So making sure the employees, the staff, the company understands the differences, communication style, the different working style, and how that could help the business, and also make them more empathetic about other people's need. That's the first step. The second step is, as a leader, you need to come up with inclusive policies like flexible workplaces, hybrid or remote, and also having a very clear understanding or having a clear description of what the job entails. What is the outcome? What is the expected goal? Providing a very written and structured information. It shouldn't be vague. And then third, trying to have adaptive workplace like assistive technology, different lighting, calm rooms. I would say providing these support is not only going to help neurodivergent, but even neurotypical folks, like having a very clear idea around expectation, having a direct communication style, making sure people are giving flexibility in today's world when people have to balance both their work and life and profession and kids. I think all these policies are not only going to help neurodivergent folks, but also neurotypical folks. Regardless of the neurotype, everybody's going to benefit from these policies. And then eventually having a customized career development. As I said, there's variety of strengths neurodivergent folks can have. So making sure that the companies can tap onto these trends and come up with more customized career development path to ensure that everybody's set up for success. And these policies, again, regardless of your neurotype, is going to benefit everyone.
And what kind of a response have you had so far now that you've been testing the waters with this and obviously sounding out prospective users?
Yeah, so the response have been amazing. It's been 3 weeks that we officially launched our website and opened it for waitlist sign up. And we already have 100 waitlist signups. And everybody I've spoken to, even before I started building the app, I had a lot of discovery calls. Everybody I've spoken to was really excited about it. They understood the need of something like this and the potential that it could have. So the response has been overwhelming. And I know that there is a need and we are trying to build that. I think now what remains is just executing on that and ensuring that we are actually providing that platform for the community where they can engage and find mentorship and get access to all these resources.
And I've spoken with some similar community-based apps, such as around, say, women's health, particularly around maternal health. Yeah. And in terms of these communities clearly provide tremendous value. They provide access to people with shared lived experiences. And they also provide things like the language to place around some of their feelings or some of their symptoms. But one thing that is challenging sometimes is monetizing that. And in the case of maternal mortality, it's come from some insurance companies say, because clearly this is very strong in contributing to better outcomes, having this community How would you monetize an app like this? What are your plans at this stage?
That's a great question. So obviously this app is going to be free for customers, like actual users to sign up. And we have a lot of service providers and a lot of, as I said, companies or organizations that cater to neurodivergent community. So we hope that as we scale, we will be able to do a lot of sponsored ad and paid promotion for these services. That would be one way, ad revenue to monetize it. And eventually the job listing fee, as if you think about LinkedIn, like they make most of their money from job listing. And it's a huge market. And as companies are understanding the value of divergent workforce, we would be curating these jobs and eventually be able to monetize from that. So these are like the two main areas how we think about monetization. And as we scale, planning to add more premium services. One idea that we are thinking is coming up with in this platform a premium service that neurodivergent folks who are interested in starting their own business, being an entrepreneur, we can provide them resources, connect them with investors and mentors, and that would be a premium service that eventually we can monetize. So we have like all these ideas, but right now a goal is I want people to be on the platform, engage with each other, and there are a lot of free resources that they can definitely take advantage of.
And just a few reflections now. So you've built this, it's obviously been a labor of love. You work with people who have overcome great adversity and are also every day is a challenge, which is perhaps not like others who are on the more neurotypical. Any lessons learned, any setbacks you've experienced yourself or watching some of your potential clients and what they go through?
That's a great question. To be honest, the world is not set up right now for neurodivergent folks. That's a fact. So it's almost like they have to learn a different language. So the onus is right now on the neurodivergent community that they have to adapt to neurotypical world. They have to change things. They have to be more, whatever the idea of social is. So all the changes or all the adaptability is being asked to be done by the neurodivergent folks. I think the biggest challenge is until unless we make it more mainstream and raise more awareness so that people, even neurotypical folks understand, like, when they can adapt themselves when they are talking to a neurodivergent person. So it shouldn't be just one side that always has to make changes. I think both sides can think about it. And there is a value in different thinking, right? We cannot say that thinking one way versus another way is better. You need both. They're both complementary to each other. And I think that's the world that we have to create, not asking just one group of individual that, oh, everything that you're doing or thinking or the way you're behaving is wrong, and somehow you have to change it. I think that's very unfair and frankly quite discriminatory versus coming up like, hey, there's a value in both way of thinking. Let's all of us come together and all of us adapt and understand and try to make the world an inclusive place so that, you're not putting unnecessary stress and duress on just one community and making them shy away from participating in the world. I think that's what I've heard, and that's my hope is my company and all the amazing work done by a lot of folks that we are able to integrate everyone and bring everybody closer, like regardless of your neurotype, there is value and you all can have an equally fulfilling life.
And my last question is around any words of wisdom. And you've already included quite a bit of wisdom to date already, but anything that either a creed or motto or anything to leave us with in terms of a word of wisdom?
Sure. I think true success means when you lift others as you rise. And I think that's the core of QRKIEZ, where we empower a community that has been underserved and overlooked. And any business leader, I think that's the best way of doing a business is as you are growing, you make sure your employees, your customers, everybody is rising, everybody is getting that opportunity. And my hope with QRKIEZ is creating those opportunity. So for me, the success of my business would mean I was able to help a lot of neurodivergent folks. They were able to find that mentorship. They were able to find that friendship. They were able to get those opportunities. And if we are successful in doing that, that's what my idea of success is. And I think that's my motto that I live by. Like, it's not just a personal individual accomplishment, but what did you do for other people? What did you do for a community? And if you were able to accomplish that, then you're truly successful.
Well, thank you so much, Veena. I wish you every success because every ounce of success that comes with this app will create more belonging, more community, more success, and more happiness ultimately for the neurodivergent individuals that perhaps are under the stress of code switching and adaptation on a regular basis. I will have in the show notes, and I think you've already mentioned how people can go to your website and get on the wait list for the app. An exciting few weeks and months ahead, I'm sure, as you roll it out. And good luck with that. And maybe we'll have you back in a year or two to talk about how it's been going. Thank you for sharing
Thank
your
you so
insights.
much, Ethan. Thank you. It was great having you here. Thank you.
I'm Ethan Devitt. Thank you for listening to the 50 Faces podcast. If you liked what you heard and would like to tune in to hear more inspiring people and their personal journeys, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is for information only and should not be construed as investment or legal advice. All views are personal and should not be attributed to the organizations of the host or any guest.